of CyberHybrid called the CyberVerse. I welcome all of you here. First of all, I would like to thank our sponsors, Boo Media Group and soon Netherlands. Boo Media Group is a great company. It's in marketing. It is your partner in producing original movies, TV shows, and marketing branded content worldwide. With a team of young professionals, we are ready to rock your video production. Boo Media Group, the source for all your marketing purposes online worldwide. Our second sponsor, Soon Netherlands. Soon is the leader in online collaborative employee scheduling, implemented self-scheduling to a degree that works best for your situation and offer your employees freedom and responsibility. With this structure in place, you will increase employee happiness and set your customer service department up for success while scaling up. We work with CS teams of rapid growth scale-ups to innovative enterprise corporations. Reach out to us for a personal onboarding. We are here for you. Thanks to our sponsors, powered by. And I would like to first start with introducing our guests, starting off with the left, on the left-hand side of me, Dr. Ryan, general practitioner in the Netherlands, working for the Minister of Defense, having a good track record, success record worldwide, has been in different places, also in South America, to perform his skill set and look for further things to increase his skill set. So Dr. Ryan here, a lot of experience. Welcome, Dr. Ryan.
Thank you.
All right, and our second special guest speaker for today is Cornelius Wicks. And Cornelius Wicks is an innovative leader in the industry. He used to be in the armed forces as an instructor pilot for the US Air Force. After that, he has had a long journey of a lot of interesting conversations that I had with him, but I'll keep it small. He's actually an innovator when it comes to technology. He has some great patented technology that's actually pretty amazing. I cannot elaborate it because then I would need to, you need to sign an NDA, so I cannot talk about it. So hopefully he can maybe give you some secrets about it. I hope so. Our security expert and our chief technology officer of CyberHybrid, Ciprian Lupu. Ciprian is, a great guy. First of all, I work a lot with him. That's the first thing. The second part is highly skilled, more than 12 to 15 years in development, has been the leader of organizations with up to 500 people working under him. So an industry leader, expert, CTO at CyberHybrid. And yours truly, I'm Faye. I am the CEO of CyberHybrid, and welcome to this first webinar. And let's kickstart this a little bit. I'm really excited. I hope you guys are too. As you see, this is a new format. We do not want this format to be really all about us or anything. We like to educate everybody. And the topic today, the big topic today, obviously, is COVID-19 versus cybersecurity. Some of you may have faced some cybersecurity risks. Some of you haven't. So before we start, I would first like to say, again, welcome, Dr. Ryan. Good that you're here. Do you have a first message for us?
Yeah, a small correction have to be made. I'm a physician of occupational health at the Ministry of Defense.
Okay, sorry, occupational health. My bad. Okay, that's the first correction.
No worries.
All right.
And today I'm here to speak on my own behalf. That's a little bit of a disclaimer.
All right. Disclaimer, guys. Cornelius, can you give yourself a really small introduction?
Yes. So welcome and thank you for having me. I'm Cornelius Wicks, founder and director of Head Communications BV here in the Netherlands. We are specialized in communications for autonomous vehicles and drones. We have set up a number of innovation platforms and knowledge bases based on this. And today I'm going to briefly describe some risks, some things, some gotchas when it comes to not just aviation, but innovation in all sectors, because today we're working at home during COVID-19 and so forth. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But that's it in a nutshell.
All right, that sounds good. And Ciprian, can you give yourself a small introduction to everybody who's listening?
Sure. I'm Ciprian. I'm usually the tech guy, the guy who makes it happen, at least in IT. I have experience with everything regarding from small to medium apps, let's say not corporate apps, but anything else. I've almost done it. So if you have any questions, I'm here.
Yes. All right. Okay, so I would like to kick this off. COVID-19 versus cybersecurity, right? The big topic of the world. The whole world is in a big pandemic. A lot of things are happening around the world. A lot of problems, obviously, and one of those problems that has risen exponentially in the last couple of periods is cybersecurity. It's the big topic. So first of all, I want to start with a stat. I want to start with a stat. The reason why I want to start with a stat, to give you some backing and buffering of our arguments, why we feel that it's very necessary to have this webinar. Cipri, I got a question from the audience. Cipri, if you could adjust your mic. All right, okay, that's already solved. Thank you for the heads up. So let's start with this. First of all, cybersecurity. I think a lot of people have different viewpoints of what cybersecurity actually means and what cyber attacks means. So let's first of all start off with this. 95% of all cybersecurity breaches, so meaning all cyber attacks, can be traced back to human error. So a lot of people think, oh, maybe this is just the system that gets hacked. But no, 9 out of 10 times, or 95 out of 100 times, it's because of human error. We click a wrong link, we click a WhatsApp message, we click in an SMS message that's fraudulent. We are redirected to a website that gives our bank credentials. Older people have are being bothered by this. Young people have identity fraud with maybe naked pictures. So a lot of things going on in the world of cybersecurity. So that's the first stat. So that's kind of crazy. And what I would like to ask Dr. Ryan is, from your perspective, right? So you deal with patients every day. You're at the armed forces here in the Netherlands, right? And you have those soldiers. They come to you with questions. What is like the influence of COVID-19 on the physical and mental health of your staff, basically?
That's an interesting question. I think it's good to elaborate about the development of complaints in my practice from when it started in March 2020 up until now. And at first there was a lot of, one side, fear for COVID, for the unknown, and also a feeling of togetherness, unity between people. And like 2 months after, there was a lot of focus from employers in the Netherlands on the mental health of their workers. But actually, the first complaints that I saw in my practice were complaints at the back and the neck and the shoulders, because everyone suddenly had to work at home.
All right.
And we had a lot of.
All right, makes sense.
Yeah, we had a lot of good working space at the workplace, but not at home. People were working at the kitchen table, just name it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So what I want to do is like get the connection right here. What is now the connection between COVID and cybersecurity? So is it a possibility, I'm just highly suggesting here, is it a possibility that because there is COVID, because people experience loneliness, because people experience physical symptoms, that they're not sharp and they maybe click bad links on their laptop and they have a fight or argument at home? Do you think that can maybe have an influence on how we are able to recognize a security breach?
Yeah, I can. That's a conclusion you can make, a relation you can put together, because one of the issues with with mental illness or being burnt out or get actually in a burnout is that you are more prone to making errors.
Yeah. All right. So then I want to go over to Ciprian real quick to elaborate a little bit on this subject. So Ciprian, so he says then, right, that this is a situation where you can get the relation. So what can employers, what can organizations do, and what can you do in your own household to make sure, what steps can you actually build in to make sure you're a little bit more secure? If you could maybe elaborate a little bit on that.
Well, we could anyone can start with installing any antivirus. From my experience, anti-spyware and antiviruses actually make hackers' life a bit more difficult. Usually, when you're clicking any strange link, or as you said, something in the email, usually a good antivirus will warn you that the place you want to go is probably a bad place. And so this should be the first, installing proper software. But if you also are considering with the places you visit online, and you just don't click everywhere all the links that you receive in your mail, and you actually go to trusted websites and trusted places on the internet, will also be safe.
Yeah. So to get back on that, basically, if we're not cheap, if we just spent 50 euros or 100 euros on antivirus software, our life would be a lot better.
Exactly.
Exactly. So the first tip of today, guys, is don't be cheap. That's the first tip, guys. Just install the antivirus. Don't use cracked software. Just buy it. It will save you a lot of headache.
Cracked software, right? That's usually 99% of all the cracked softwares are hacked, actually.
Oh, yeah. Well, for me, when I hear cracked software, so for the people who don't understand what cracked software means, it's not original software that you bought in a store or online store. It is actually software that is downloaded through the internet by a third party, not the original party, and you just don't pay for it. And the fact that they can hack or crack that program says, I think, something about the integrity of the program, right? If it's cracked.
Yeah. Usually, you can get very infected by installing software from torrents or other websites who claim to give you the free version or something like that. But always download software from trusted companies, and if you can't afford to pay for the software, maybe you should look for freemium software. Usually, even for antiviruses, there's like a freemium version, but still, it's still good enough to protect you from 90% of the threats. And I've tried to. I had my time to being a hacker, and any antivirus would make my life very difficult.
Coming from a hacker, guys. So I want to jump to Cornelius here, right? So Cornelius, you're an innovation expert, right? You're the head of, you were in the World Business Forum of Angel Investors. You have such a large track record of things you have done. How can we be more aware of this? How can, what kind of innovative solutions can we have to get this problem not solved, but at least make sure life doesn't become hell for organizations and yourself personally? What can we do?
So in the innovation world, what we see today is because of the fact that a lot of students or employees of companies are working at home, a lot of times they're using their work computers for personal use. That said, sometimes they're playing games on there, or they're sharing their devices. But they must be very vigilant that that device may have specific access to an innovation platform or a collaboration platform through the company, and they really have to be careful with how this software accesses, through this device that they have lent to their friend or someone else. What kind of access consequences can be breached? And Ciprian, you hit on a very important point about freeware versus some of the closed source software. A lot of closed source software the companies that develop these have been better at paying attention to these issues. The fact that people have remote access to these systems and that they collaborate while they're working from home. That said, things like Bitbucket, Git repositories, and so these are repositories for software developers that are involved in innovation. They generally have access through, public-private keys and so forth to the repository, but you must be careful that, when copying programs or ghosting a computer or so, or lending your device out to someone else, that you don't accidentally give access to very important information, especially intellectual property. Now, in innovation, a lot of intellectual property is used, and if it's breached, there are times when it could be compromised, which means, if you're on your way to getting a patent or so, that you won't get the patent because now your intellectual property is considered prior art because it has leaked into the public domain. So these types of things in the innovation world, you must be very, very cognitive and very vigilant to prevent these from happening, because it can cost enormous amounts of money for companies, cost enormous amounts of personal loss, and so those are the three really big things that that we want to emphasize in the innovation world is watch who you lend your device to, and be cognizant of what your device has access to, and also the type of software that you're using to access those platforms and so forth. So those three things are really important in the innovation world.
Those make actually a lot of sense, right? And to like back up this argument about that this topic is so important, look at this stat, guys. So Accenture, that is a party that did research on this, interviewed business leaders around the world, and 68% of those business leaders feel that the cybersecurity risks are increasing. So a big majority of decision makers in the world are getting more and more concerned about this growing threat. And if we look at the general security market, it's going to grow to $170 billion dollars by 2022. So just to give you guys a sense of how big this market is getting. So that for me was a staggering result, and I was actually a little bit shocked that it went so fast and COVID actually expanded on this. So I also got a tip from a friend actually I talked to yesterday. So he said to me, the reason why these attacks are increasing is because everybody's now working from home, right, doctor? So everybody's working from home, and Ciprian, so there are more access points to hack, right? Normally we are all in one building in the office, and we're all working from one server or one source that we work from, but now we're in these home networks. Ciprian, can you maybe a little bit elaborate on, when you're working from home, what do you need to do besides an antivirus to set yourself up a little bit safely when you're working from home? What can we do?
Well, I would recommend installing a VPN, which would make all the traffic.
Could you explain a little bit what a VPN is for the person out there who doesn't know what a VPN is?
Well, a VPN is a virtual private network, but basically what it means is that even if you turn on you install a VPN and turn all the traffic to go through that VPN, even if someone is connected to your wireless network and is actually listening to the information you're sending and getting, like passwords and data and stuff like that, they will see encrypted data, because the moment you instantiate or you turn on the VPN, all your traffic goes through a server outside of your network and encrypted. So it makes the life of a hacker, or even for automated software, automated bots that you might have downloaded from the internet and without your knowledge are staying on your PC and they're sniffing on your data, basically it inactivates them.
All right. That makes a lot of sense. So doctor, so when you, okay, everybody's working from home. You talked about the neck, the back, all the issues, right? Talk about the mental issues. So what can we? I'm an employer too, right? I also have employees, people working for me. So what can I do then better? What can the for the owners who are on this call? What can the owners? What can the bosses do to create better circumstances for their employees at home and on the office? What can we do to make sure they're healthy, they're better? What can we incentivize?
Yeah, I think what you're asking, how can we improve their mental health?
I think that's the biggest thing, right?
Yeah,
at the moment.
To elaborate on that, you have to know a little bit what's going on. In the last few months, there was an increase in mental health complaints in my practice. And one of those complaints is that the borders between the work life and the private life became more fake.
They faded out.
Yeah. So and it's also maybe a security issue, because if you're because it's not always clear when you're working for yourself or working for your employee. It's a little bit different. So one thing to do is there are a lot of there are some important things. First of all, I think it's important an important way to help your employees to help them balance their work and private life.
Okay.
A way to do that is to make it able to and promote fragmented working.
Okay, can you explain what does that mean, fragmented working?
Before COVID,
yeah,
it was usual to go to your work at a certain time of day, let's say from 9 a.m. and you will work to 5 p.m.
Makes sense.
6 p.m.
9 hours a day with a break.
Yeah. And everything else was taken care of for your children, and they could go to school and so on. Now an employer has to do everything himself, for herself.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and so you have to focus on the different points. There's a cognitive
like balance you need to find.
Balance you need to find. Exactly, that's the word I was searching for.
Yeah.
And what can help is if you let them fragment their work. So let's work for 2 hours in the morning, let them do the private thing, and then pick up the work an hour later.
Yeah.
So the workday becomes longer.
Yes.
But they can manage their different aspects of their day better.
So basically, if I can translate it to, if I would incorporate a plan, so you're basically saying, let them handle their private issues also during the day, right? So they can maybe work a little bit at night, and it makes a lot of sense. And I think there will be some resistance maybe from employers saying, no, but I need them between 9 to 5, and you can get those arguments, right?
Yeah.
So how do you combat that actually? Because I think as an employer, at the end, you will have no choice, because if they get sick, then you really have nothing, right?
Yeah, one of the reasons people get sick, there's less flexibility for them to balance all those things. So you have to add flexibility.
Yeah.
During the week.
And what do you think, right? So COVID has messed up a lot of things, right? That's a given. And mental health has been a problem. You're saying fragmented working keeps them productive, right? So if I then maybe can shift my attention into to Cornelius, right? So the tech world is really big, right? And what kind of impact did COVID have on the whole cybersecurity world and the whole tech world, right? Because also for the tech industry where we are in, a lot of things changed. What changed in your from your perspective?
So from a security perspective, and this is what we see also in interns and also the collaboration groups and so forth that work in clusters and incubation centers, is that it's about mindset. People typically tend to, while they're working from home, be a little bit less careful about how they handle information and how they exercise information security. We've seen this also with some of our employees and some of our interns in the past, also some of our contractors, that people are a little bit loose with information when they're working from home. And now during COVID-19, you have more people working from home. And I always emphasize when we're onboarding people and when we're training people, I always emphasize treat someone else's information as if it were your own. Treat the company information as if it is your credit card information. And then now I hear some of them say, well, we don't really care about privacy. Because we have nothing to hide, so we're not so strict when it comes to being private about our information and about our data and stuff. And my response is, well, you know, not saying you don't care about privacy because you have nothing to hide is like saying you don't care about free speech because you have nothing to say.
Yes,
It's a deeply antisocial notion on our conscious awareness on how we secure information and how we protect information. I always say protect someone else's information as if it is your own, because you're responsible. You're responsible for that information, and it has consequences. When we look at the Heathrow Airport last year at February 15th, there was a data breach which caused a blockage between the ticketing section of the airline and the aircraft dispatch section, which ended up canceling hundreds of flights and leaving tens of thousands of passengers stranded on that one day. And this is all because of bugs in the software or because of access rights which are changed because people are not careful with what they disclose. Information gets in the wrong hands, and it can have unintended consequences. It's not, cybersecurity breaches are not always a result of hacking or always a result of intentional, malice. Sometimes it's accidental due to data loss because of someone's carefree use of access or of data. So it all goes back to mindset. And you have the physical human factors that the doctor also emphasized, but you also have the mental human factors, how people are trained, how loyal are they in their fiduciary responsibility in protecting the information and so forth. So I believe that is where it starts.
Yeah.
And then they can go into exercising the right practices to actually protect that information.
Yeah. Wow, that's great. It makes total sense. That's a real thing, right? So I wanted to get to another point. So here at CyberHybrid, I just want to give everybody who is not techie at all, I want to give everybody 5 simple tips. These are tips we spread freely to anybody. This is not like secure information or anything. And after that, I'm going to go answer a question because I've got a really good question up here. So first I want to start. Maybe you have seen the slide pop by, the 5 tips for a safe organization and a personal life. So the first of all is 2-step verification, guys. We have all these platforms right now. We have a login portal for every system, for your bank, for your car, for your healthcare system, your personal social security, your platforms you use, Spotify, Netflix. We have so many passwords nowadays. The first tip is, guys, you need to have a password manager. Don't use your last name and first name 123 exclamation mark because that's a password that can get hacked easily, right? So the whole password thing, guys, you need to have a password manager that generates this. On average, I have seen, Ciprian, correct me if I'm wrong, these cost around, like 10 euros a year or something, password managers?
There are also free ones. Usually your phone comes with a password manager, and Samsung has their own, Huawei has their own, Google has their own, but there are also free ones. But at most, I think LastPass is 10 euros a month.
LastPass. I think for me it was like 10 euros or something, right? So guys, invest 10 euros a year. You'll have a password manager. It automatically generates your passwords, stores it everywhere. You can access it on any device. And now you have set step 1 to a safer personal life and organizational life. The second thing, guys, this is really simple. Keep your software up to date. So many times we see platforms, your phone, your laptops, when we do our audits for other companies and for other personal people, we see just software is not up to date. For me, so Ciprian, can you explain to people what the biggest reason is why you always need to update your software?
Well, from my perspective, as an IT guy, I can always see what malfunctions in previous versions of the software you're using. So let's say Windows. If you don't update your Windows or Mac, you can go into their website and look at the release notes for each version or for each update they have, and you will see that very often they actually have exploits there. So if you're a hacker, you just go in the release notes of the software you would like to hack, and you can see which version has vulnerabilities, because they're usually public, so they don't hide it. They're actually being transparent with it. They're saying this software, it has a bug, please update it, because otherwise we'll have big problem. But usually people forget about this.
Yeah. So this is a pretty straightforward thing. And Cornelius, you actually already pointed out this one, shadow IT, right? People using software for work purposes that is not recommended by the employer, or people are using their private laptop for business uses. This whole shadow IT thing. Why? I understand from a convenience standpoint. Let me send a quick WhatsApp message from my own phone to a client or anything. I understand that it's easy, but why is it so apparent that we do not use shadow IT? So we do not use our personal stuff or your personal devices to do business related things for your employer or for yourself. Can you please elaborate a little bit why shadow IT is that bad?
Well, the bottom line is that, first of all, you don't want your friends getting your work information. You don't want company information going into your friends, and vice versa. You don't want your friends' private information going into the hands of other people that they don't know. So that's the biggest problem with sharing devices and shadow IT, and so is that data gets into the wrong hands, or gets into it proliferates over a wider area and can end up in the public domain. We know the consequences of personal data leaks, such as credit cards and so forth. I had a friend, for example, a colleague, that he shared his phone and his computer with someone else. A week later, someone bought tickets from Los Angeles to Singapore in his name, using his credit information, which was stored on his laptop. Wow. That was one advantage. One disadvantage, the people who stole his credit card number made other purchases. Now this was his personal credit card number, and it ruined his personal credit. Now, likewise, you can ruin a company by divulging information, letting information go into the wrong hands, and someone fraudulently using company credit cards or having access to company financial information and so forth that are on these laptops and these shadow IT shared devices. So it's really, really important. The consequences are enormous, and it's in the billions just in the United States annually. The amount of financial theft that occurs due to data leaks and people having access to devices they have no business having access to.
Yeah. No, this is a really good example, right? So somebody just shares their laptop. One day later, you get a ticket to Singapore for $1,000 from your credit card.
Yeah.
So that's how easy it can go, right? That's how easy it can go. So please, people, do not use. I know it's convenient. I'm not gonna lie. I've done it too. I also use my personal phone for work purposes. I don't do it anymore since I'm aware of this. So please prevent yourself from doing that. We also went on the VPN connection, Ciprian. You already explained that, so I'm gonna leave that one. The fifth tip we have. So those are the 5 tips. The last one is the 2-step verification process. The two-step verification process, yeah, I don't need to like really elaborate on that. You use two steps, meaning your phone or another app or device to log into a system. So you use a password, and on the same time you have a phone that sends you a code to log in into two steps. Ciprian, if you can maybe really short elaborate on what the benefit is of a two-step verification process.
Well, basically, you will be aware every time someone, or even yourself, when you're logging into anything, because you will be notified with an SMS message, and you will have to put the code in your login. It's usually used by banks to confirm the transactions, at least for a certain, above a certain amount, and in many other systems. But what you're avoiding with two-step verification is someone using your account. So even if they have your data, your login data, you will still be notified.
Yeah, so basically if they hack your password, they still cannot get in because they need the second step of verification. All right. Okay, so those were our 5 simple tips. What I do want to get to is another interesting statistics. Let me get this real quick here on my screen, and this is actually the big one, right? This is the big one. So Varonis, a company called Varonis, had this to say and researched these statistics. On average, only 5% of company folders, so like folders as in system folders, are properly protected. Just 5%, guys. So all those accounts you have with all those companies, all those businesses and your personal data you put with those companies or store at those companies, just 5% of those are stored properly. Let that sink in for a moment. Doctor, so you have patient files, right? You have very delicate data you need to work with, right? Could you imagine that only 5% of those files were stored and protected properly? What would be the impact if those files were hacked and would be publicly public
it's
domain?
hard to wrap my head around, to be honest. But it's a big impact, trust impact, data leaks, there's a lot of personal information, health information. That's not something you can sell as a person, I think, even as a company.
My God, definitely. So the biggest, I have a question here from one of our audience members, Dennis. Dennis has a question for the panel, guys. I'm going to leave it open, so anybody who wants to answer it, Ciprian, I think, or Ciprian or Cornelius. So are there any dangers in working from home while having a smart digital thermometer that connects to the same Wi-Fi network as the work laptop? So I'll repeat. Are there any dangers in working from home while having a smart digital thermometer that connects to the same Wi-Fi network as the work laptop?
Like the Internet of Things?
Sorry?
Like the Internet of Things?
Yeah,
IoT?
yeah. Cornelius, could you maybe jump in on that?
So anytime you have a home network and there are any devices connected to your Wi-Fi, you should always secure that. You should always make sure that it's a secure home network and that there is a firewall between that personal home network and the outside world. Most routers that are provided by cable companies and so forth have these options, have these setup options that you can use on the built-in web page that every router and device has, internet Wi-Fi device has. But that's probably the most protection that is available, that's widely available at a reasonable cost, is setting up a secure home network. There are videos on YouTube. There are instructions with the manufacturers, instruction books on their websites, how to do this, how to do it properly, which ports to use for your IoT devices, be it your thermometers or media devices and so forth, and ensure that you know what in that home network, that you don't have folders that are shared that you don't want to share from that home network, because hackers can gain access through that thermometer if it's an unsecure, a non-home network, and it's just everything is open and connected to the Wi-Fi without using secure sockets layers, it is possible for hackers to get through that IoT device and into your computer if your computer is connected to that same Wi-Fi network. That's why it's critical to have that secure home network with all the SSL, authentication and keys and so forth, to keep everything inside your home private behind that firewall.
Yeah. Wow.
I would buy a better router that has two wireless LANs, usually the routers with multiple antennas, and you can create a wireless network for your IoT devices and for your friends and for the other stuff you need. And for business purposes, I would use wireless that is not used for fun or for anything else. And I would also add the VPN, and you're safe. You can use as many devices as you want.
All right. Okay. So Dennis, I hope this answered your question a little bit regarding your digital thermometer at home. What I do want to get, I want to get to a real life story. On our last webinar, we had an executive of a law firm on our webinar, and this is a true story. I will not name any names or any specifics because it's confidential. But what I can say is that this executive of this law firm had is responsible for large transactions of other companies. So they handle acquisitions of property and those type of things. And one day she received an email from her client asking her to withdraw money and send it to the personal account because they manage their finances of those clients. So she had an email from the person saying, "Hey, could you please, I don't know what the exact amount was, could you transfer me 100,000 euros to my private bank account? And but can you send it to another bank account number?" And at first thought of her was, okay, let's do that. But then at second thought, she was like, okay, this is weird. Why does my client ask me to send the money to another account that I don't know of, right? Because I handle those personal finance, and it was a really large sum of money. So then later on, they found out luckily she didn't do the transaction, luckily. But the email that she received from her client was so genuine and so real. It had the exact same email address, the exact same name, the way of writing, everything was the same. So that email was so real life that a high executive in a big law firm, almost got fooled into sending a large amount of money to basically a hacker. So the email of the client was hacked, but the client didn't even knew. The client didn't even knew. So this is a real life example of executive. Having said that, I think it's good for us to realize what we are doing here actually and why this is so important. Just bear with me, guys, with a small vision. Imagine a world where a plane gets hacked. Imagine a world where a power plant gets hacked. Imagine your kids are just in their room and their camera of their laptop pops on and they can see them or can listen to them. Imagine a world where where identity fraud happens. Your ID is used for all intents and types of purposes. These threats are real, guys. The new threat is not the physical threats we have right now. The biggest threats are the cyber threats we have. We are getting so digital, everything is automated. So we better be careful and realize what we are doing. It's nice to have everything digital, but we better be secure. And you can tell yourself, oh, it will never happen to me. I was hacked too also once, the head of a cybersecurity company and development company. So anybody, it can happen to anybody, guys. That's I think my main point that I wanted to give. To get back to another point, Cornelius, I wanted to ask you that. So could you maybe share a personal? I know you have some great personal stories when it comes to these risks. Could you maybe give the crowd a good story, because I know you have great ones.
So here's one story that that is moderately dramatic and not extremely not yet fit for a Netflix series. But I was at work. I worked at a location. I was new on this particular in this particular organization, and I had ordered a new Dell laptop online with FedEx, Federal Express, and in the United States. And I was there with colleagues, and a couple of the colleagues had acquaintances that came in there um, into the office. There was one big shared open space with cubicles and so. I left to go to the bathroom. I came back and I had forgotten to log out of my computer after I made the order and the shipping order through Federal Express to have this new laptop delivered. I came back. Everything is the same. There was nothing unusual or anything. The other person that was in the office before was gone. The person that I didn't know, who was apparently invited by the colleague, was gone. I later discovered that I received a call from Federal Express that say, "Hey, we understand that your shipment is urgent and it's on its way." 2 days passed. I never received the computer. The third day, I looked on Federal Express's website, and it said that the computer was still in transit, and it said that it had been shipped to a different location. So I called Federal Express and I said, "Has my account been changed?" And they said, "No." They said, "There's no changes, nothing. It's still going to the original delivery destination, to your house." And so another day passed, and so I said, "I still haven't received my computer, but I see on your website that it says that it's been delivered." It's been delivered, and they gave me a name of a person and a location. And apparently what this person had done is someone called using my name and my information, and they had changed the delivery destination of the computer. They used an excuse that they were in a car accident, and they had all of these other emergencies that they said excuses why they needed the laptop delivered to that location. Turns out they had the laptop delivered to a hotel. Someone picked it up from the hotel at the front desk, took it up to another city, and gave it to a trucker who dropped it off at someone who was waiting at a pre-described location, and that person stole the laptop. I found out all of this through the sheriff's department. Where I used to work, we can also find out other things through uncommon channels. But these criminals, it turns out that it was an inside job in Federal Express. It was not someone who was in the office. Although I was on fire when I found out, and I thought, okay, all of you colleagues, come to me and we're going to discuss this and we're going to see what happened. And turns out that it was from the sheriff's department. It was an inside job from Federal Express. It had happened before. So these security breaches not only occur at the user's origin, but also where the data is in transit to go to some other location to enact a transaction or shipment of goods or whatever it is. So along that entire data chain from end to end, a breach can occur anywhere. Yeah. And that's why everything has to be done with physical security and the utmost secure channels and so forth. Because there are people out there collecting personal information, especially during COVID-19, during hard economic times. People are getting clever and they're figuring out ways to take personal information and gain the most economic advantage from that, whether it's company information or personal information. And if you have a responsibility over company information, treat it like your personal information, because the consequences can be huge.
Yeah, definitely. Well, so the biggest tip you actually gave, when you're ordering something, never go to the bathroom. That's what you mean.
Yeah, just hold it. Just hold it as much as you can until the transaction is finished.
Yeah, don't go to the bathroom. That's a good one. That's a good one. Maybe I wanted to say something else, but I'm going to skip that part.
You're going to politely sidestep that?
Yeah. You know, we need to watch. You know, I don't know what age the crowd here is. You know, maybe I need to using words here that I cannot use profanity, right? I cannot use that. But
fair enough.
What I would like to say, Ciprian, can you elaborate on that that small story you told me last time of that guy with the shredder?
Yeah, actually, it wasn't a shredder. That was like the conclusion. But
Oh no, that was the conclusion. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly. But it's a friend of mine who owns a pretty big company, and actually, uh, he got hacked the same way you described like 15 minutes ago with the lady with the email regarding the.
Yes, yes.
So he also got, that's like a common hack. It works, I don't know, maybe it's on a website on like a make money fast scheme or something, because it's very common in the world. So it's not just in Holland. Here in Romania, it's top 3 of most successful schemes, actually. So that friend has gotten a big investment. He made like an upgrade to his all of his offices. He was pretty yeah. So he upgraded all of his offices with printers and new PCs and new everything. And when they set up the printers, they usually they make a test print.
Yeah.
Which in which they write the model of the printer and other details, usually like wireless details, or depending on how are you connecting the printer to the network. And someone went through their garbage bin. Actually, it was a hacker. And most of you might think that hackers staying behind the desktops or behind the computer screen, but actually they have to be pretty mobile, because without this kind of data, they wouldn't know what to hack. It's too broad, it's too general. But when you have, as I said, some details about other people's equipment, you can start searching exploits. So this is similar to the question with the thermometer of dimming.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, it happened that the hacker could connect to the wireless to the printer that had access to the general wireless of the company. He didn't have it. He didn't have multiple networks: one for the printer, one for sensitive data, one for employees, and one for guests of the company.
Yeah.
And they were all on the same network. And once the hacker found an exploit to the printer, there actually were multiple printers of the same brand and the same model. So he basically connected to their network to their printer to Wi-Fi.
So one piece of paper messed it all up. That's why I said my answer to that question was always use a shredder, because if that paper was shredded, the hacker could never came in. But one piece of paper in a garbage bin hacked the whole company, guys. That's how this thing works. I need to wrap. Yeah. Okay, so go ahead quickly.
We already discussed, because he would have updated the printer, it wouldn't have been a problem. But usually people think if they buy a printer, they can use it for 10 years and it's just a printer.
Yeah.
But we also put like security risks.
Crazy. So I want to get to the end. So I have one final message for everybody.
We have one final question from a viewer.
Oh yeah. Okay, let's get that in there. Raymond van Huxloot. How would you help an employer handle data security when the threat is internal, employee, instead of external hackers? This is the current situation at the GGD. Okay, at the GGD. All right. Okay, that's a very good question. Okay, I will answer that. Let's let Cornelius, if you can answer that question for me in like 30 seconds, because I have one more announcement.
Okay, that's a very hot topic right now. Often what companies do is something that Ciprian also alluded to earlier, is have security zones, so that you know that if someone internally is hacking into something or doing something illegal, that you can trace it to them. So everyone has their own access, groups are in their own security zones and so forth. The system is segmented such that you know who is doing what and where their data traffic is going. and what they're doing, so you can trace it. You can, and it's recorded in the log. That's the best. That's the way most companies do it.
Okay, so to sum it up, everybody needs to have their own access. Everything needs to be traceable, and there needs to be a security zone and like a flag system. When something weird happens,
Yes.
out of the normally, something needs to pop up.
Yeah.
Well, that's the GGD, guys, our biggest health institution in the Netherlands. Look how secure we are, right? I'm not gonna lie, it's just the reality. I'm sorry, Dr. Ryan. I know you have.
I don't work for them, so.
Oh, okay, lucky you. So I want to finish this off is that one of the participants today on this webinar will receive a €50 Amazon free gift card that can be spent in the Amazon store worldwide. And we will do the lottery system. So we'll check one of the contestants who is in this webinar today. One of the participants, we will give that €50 Amazon gift card. And the second thing is one of the participants here will receive a free personal audit from CyberHybrid. What does that mean? If you're a participant on this call, and in the next webinar, we'll announce the winner of that prize, you'll get audited for free by CyberHybrid. Just you personally, meaning your phone, your home network, your laptop. We will audit everything. You'll get a personal interview and we'll ask you a million questions. How do you store this? How do you save this? And we'll make sure that you are better secured for the future than you have ever been. So that's a free personal audit we will give to one of our participants. Normally we do this for companies and for people who hire us, but because you guys made the time free in your day to join this webinar, we will do that. We will announce the winner in our next webinar. That will happen on the last Thursday of February. So stay tuned and check our LinkedIn channel. So like and subscribe to our LinkedIn channel. This webinar will be posted on our channel also, so you can watch it in full. If you had any information that was maybe helpful for you, or you wanted to listen to something back. Also, Raymond, I hope this answered your question a little bit that you just answered. If you have any more questions, please join also our next webinar. We'll have a different topic then, and there will be a very big speaker on the next one. I cannot announce it yet, so please follow our channel. It's fun. That's the only thing I can say. It will be more fun. I hope that you guys liked it. I have 40 more seconds, but I don't know what I need to tell to you guys. I got one message here from my tech guy. Let me check this real quick. Oh yeah, that's a good one. So I got a suggestion. If you have a suggestion about what the next topic for the next webinars could be, send us a message through our LinkedIn channel or through our website if you want a subject to be discussed about. It could be about tech, cybersecurity, fashion, anything that is related to tech. We can talk about it and we can have a guest speaker. So if you have any suggestions, please send us a message. And hereby I close this meeting. I thank all our guest speakers. I would like to thank Mr. Cornelius Wicks for attending this webinar, the head of head communications and the director. I want to thank Ciprian, our Chief Technology Officer, for giving us all this insightful information. I want to thank Dr. Ryan for being here and giving his expertise about mental health and the physical health. And I want to also thank all our sponsors, especially Soon Netherlands and Boo Media Group. Till next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.